Okay, so I'm gonna have you do two exercises, but I gotta explain something really quick. There's a small muscle called your supraspinatus muscle. It's your rotator cuff muscle. It's one of the four. It goes from your scapula all the way down under this bone called the acromion. Attaches about here. When it gets impinged, which just means it gets pulled forward, it's weak. You're also like internally rotated. You're a power lifter. Um, what happens is when it gets impinged, it causes pain in the front where you're having it, and right about here. And what it does is it brings your arm right about here, tucks it under the hood so that your delts can actually take over, so that the bones aren't just like grinding and hitting each other. That's what causes pain. And when it's weak or inhibited or strained, it doesn't do its job. It's when you get the click, it's when you get the pain. It's actually pretty normal with powerlifters. So what I'm gonna have you do are two exercises. The first is gonna be a banded kind of lateral raise, but with a specific progression. So what you're gonna do is grab a small band, small or medium, cinch it up to some sort of rig, maybe like knee height, doesn't really matter, as long as between like the hip and the knee you'll be fine. And what I want you to do is grab it, take a step to the side, get some tension in it. You're gonna shoulders back and down, let that chest pop up. You're gonna lock your arm. So like if this is my thumb, which would be down, you'd be in external rotation. Grab the band. You're gonna bring it to like 15 to 30 degrees. Hold, contract, 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 and bring it down. Do that, contract, contract, contract. Bring it down, and you're a little bit higher. Contract, contract, contract. Bring it down, and you're gonna continue that until you can get all the way up to about here. You don't have to go here, but about here. And the whole time, as you go higher and higher, you're gonna be rotating outwards. So the whole thing is gonna look like. The important thing with this one is to, again, keep your scaps back or together and down as long as you can. This is gonna help keep your scapula in place and kind of learn how to separate the movement from your shoulders, from your scapula. That's the first one. You're gonna do, let's say 3 sets of 15 on both sides. You're gonna feel a burn. If you feel a burn right about here or here, that's perfect. The second one I'm gonna have you do is grab your roller, stick it in your armpit like so, arm down, elbow out here. Again, cinch up the band. You're gonna hold the water bottle, the roller with your hand, and externally rotate while squeezing this into your armpit. So it's gonna kind of feel like you're taking your elbow, kind of like rowing it back, again, scaps back and down, and externally rotate while squeezing. So it's gonna feel like you're squeezing your shoulder in this direction, rather, more like this direction, while externally rotating. For this one, I want you to pause as far as you can out here. Again, you're gonna do 15 reps of that, both sides. Whatever you do on one side, do on the other. So you have two things coming. You have the banded lateral raise, right? Again, starting small, because that's the important part. Like we said before, that muscle, the supraspinatus, only does roughly 30 degrees before the delts take over. And then the second one is gonna be the external rotations. For both of these, you can use a cable as well, but I find it a little more difficult to kind of coordinate everything, even though it's a good loading thing. It's not really what we're trying to do here. We're trying to kind of pattern some things. Last couple notes. So the reason impingement like this happens in powerlifters, specifically in prep, is because one, we bench a ton. We bench, 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 bench. Two, we squat a lot. A lot. And when we do our low bar, which is why I have you doing high bar relatively often, only up until the latter end of prep where it's just comp work. When you pull the bar down and you hit the hole, you personally, and myself as well, have a tendency to shoulders go forward, chest kind of dumps, and that, like we said before, is going to bring the supraspinatus into that forward position under the bone where we don't want it, causes all sorts of pain. If you feel pain, like down the biceps, either side, and kind of like here on the lateral side of your arm all the way down to the thumb, Those are generally pains associated with compensations for the shoulder. So if this stuff hurts, we can address it, but again, it's gonna stem from here. So when it comes to your squats, final point, sorry, really lock it in. And when you hit the hole, really shove those elbows forward, keeping that nice shelf. Also with bench, I've noticed that you have not been as tight recently, and that's understandable, but we have to get you tight. Because what happens is when you, especially with long arm people like yourself, hits the chest, kind of dump a little, shoulders go, and then again, you're in that bad position, and then you got to press from there and abduct. It's a recipe for problems. The other thing is we do a lot of rowing. I have you doing a lot of pulling, right? And that is technically, while it is a back movement, it is also forcing you into internal rotation. If you think about it, you grab the lat, pull down. It's the same motion, except we're stopping here, right? So, same thing with rows. It's just gonna be a pull, and it's internal rotation without the dump, and that's great, that's awesome. But what we often neglect is overhead work, such as OHP, but there's no place for that in prep right now. Although, we might have you do lighter stuff, but I'm not trying to keep you in the gym too long. And what was the other point? Right, the second exercise, the external rotations. If you think about what we do as powerlifters, we almost never ever do external rotation work. I'm not sure why I haven't just given you that flat out. I give almost everybody that. It's probably because I haven't changed your program pages in a long time. I'll send you a new one after prep. But yeah, external rotation work, it's gonna keep that bad boy kind of backing down and stable, put it in a position where it can actually do its work, do its job. If you have any questions, let me know. Sorry, last point. Don't sleep with your hand over your head. I know you had that neurological issue like 6 months ago, a year ago. You're gonna get the same sort of supraspinatus problems. So again, let me know if you have any questions.